I'll order Stephenville Town Council meeting for Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. Special town council meeting. Need me to do it again? Good, please, call the roll.
Councilmember Bailey? Present. Councilmember Wandler?
Present.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Councilmember Ross has an excused absence, and Mayor Cruz.
Here. Okay, if you join me for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Public comment from citizens on items that are not on the agenda.
Gerald Gaylor, Parks Manager. Got a couple things I just want to ask. I know you can't respond to them. First off, I would like to know if there's an internal investigation planned to look into the very public comments Mayor Cruz made prior to the election regarding getting rid of public works employees, in light of the fact that 4 of the 5 employees who worked for public works when the mayor took office are gone 8 months into this term. These people were not only critical to the operation of this town, but also volunteered their time off hours to contribute to our community events. I understand the public works director resigned yesterday due to a hostile work environment and pay inequities. The mayor was fully aware that this would be the consequence if he was expected to supervise a new hire who was receiving a higher wage than he received. Secondly, are OSHA and our insurance company aware that 2 public works employees were directed to remove trees from live wires in direct violation of safety standards? Thankfully, they refused. What training or policies have been implemented to assure that such negligent and dangerous orders are never given to town employees again? And lastly, why do we offer higher salaries to entice new public works employees while we do nothing to retain current employees by offering equitable pay increases?
Any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to the public hearing. Public hearing on budget amendments for fiscal year 2025-2026. Read the resolution number 595. Resolution of Town of Stephenville, Town Council of Town of Stephenville, Montana, providing for amendments for the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. Whereas the Stephenville Town Council adopted the budget for fiscal year 2025-26 for Resolution 574, and whereas the Building Code Enforcement Fund will exceed the appropriations originally set in fiscal year 2025-26 budget by $33,972.89, and whereas an increase in spending authority is necessary to cover the exceeded appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Stephenville, Montana, that fiscal year 2025 budget be amended as follows. Expenditure increase, Fund 2394, Building Code Enforcement, $4,100. Whereas the Lighting District Fund, Peterson, will exceed the appropriations originally set in fiscal year 2025-26 budget by $1.32, and whereas an increase in spending authority is necessary to cover the exceeded appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Stephenville, Montana, that the fiscal year 2025-26 budget be amended as follows. Expenditure increase, Fund 2420, Peterson Lighting District, $2. Whereas the Lighting District Fund, Creekside, will exceed the appropriations originally set in fiscal year 2025-26 budget by $7.90. And whereas an increase in spending authority is necessary to cover the exceeded appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Stephenville, Montana, fiscal year 2025 budget be amended as follows. Expenditure increase, Fund 2440, Creekside Lighting District, $8. Whereas the airport fund will exceed the appropriations originally set in the fiscal year 25-26 budget by $64,720.52. And whereas an increase in spending authority is necessary to cover the exceeded appropriations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Stephenville, Montana, that the fiscal year 2025-26 budget be amended as follows. Expenditure increase, Fund 5610, airport $65,000. Whereas the airport project fund will exceed the appropriations originally set in the fiscal year 25-26 budget by $245,756.29, and whereas an increase in spending authority is necessary to cover the exceeded appropriations. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of the town of Stephenville, Montana, that the fiscal year 2025-26 budget be amended as follows. Expenditure increase fund 5620, airport $246,000. Whereas the following transfer of funds to reimburse for loan payments, fiscal year 24-25 and 25-26 totaling $14,821.25. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of the town of Stephenville, Montana, that the fiscal year 24-25 and 25-26 budget have the following revisions. From 2311 Targeted Economic Development Fund to 5610 Airport Fund. Whereas the town council approved the following two fund transfers and were originally set in the fiscal year 2025-26 budget, from 5210 Water Fund to 5211 Water Asset Fund in the amount of $600,000. From 5310 Sewer Fund to 5311 Sewer Asset Fund in the amount of $400,000. Whereas these two fund transfers need to be canceled for fiscal year 25-26. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of the town of Stephenville, Montana, that the fiscal year 2025-26 budget be amended. Be it further resolved that the above mentioned increases and revisions will cover all non-appropriated expenses for the year. Whereas pursuant to section 764006 Montana Code annotated, the town council of the town of Stephenville, Montana has held a public hearing on this proposed amendment, passed and adopted by the town council and mayor of the town of Stephenville the 19th day of August 2026. Any public comment? Any council discussion?
During public.
No, this is a public hearing. You know, what's our time limit on these public hearings?
Of the public hearing section as a number 4 here until it's complete.
Okay, we'll move to item 4B. Preliminary budget and wages salaries for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. Turn this over to the finance department.
At this point, sir, am I proper to have public comment?
I'm sorry?
Am I at this time?
If you would like to have public comment right now, that'd be fine.
Yes, sir. My name is Linda Powell, and I am a tax-paying property owner who lives at 235 Valley View Street. I'm here today because I have concerns about some of the details that I see in this proposed budget. Being shared with you now is a single page showing the concerns I have, and this is only page 1 of 46 total pages. A distinction needs to be made between parts of this report. On the left-hand side, you will see a history portion with account titles and subsections, which I reviewed to create an understanding as to the allocation and expenditure cost centers. Meanwhile, the proposed budgets on the right, last 4 columns on the right of the page. It's these 4 columns which I'm going to discuss, as that is, I believe, the area being proposed for council approval tonight, and about which I have many concerns. Move to the headings. It is those headings which caused me to believe that what was being presented was a percentage of change from preliminary budget to proposed budget per the council agenda packet. In the uppermost right corner, the methodology for calculating this percentage of change is noted so that we all know how I got these numbers. I went to the left-hand side of the page, and I want you to look at account number 400200, Executive Services, the wages and salary section. The preliminary number was 3,600. The final number was 3,600, which if you do the math, that's a 0% change, not 100%. Still, let's look at the object 140 employee contributions. Primary number 330. Final proposed number 330. Again, this results in a 0% change. Let's look further down at 410210, office supplies and materials. Preliminary number is 25, final proposed is 25. That results in a 0% change. So what do these asterisk percent mean? I don't know. My conclusion is the concerns I have raised tonight are legitimate and should be raising concerns for all of you prior to council vote to approve this 2026-2027 proposed budgets. Numbers tell a story. I'm greatly concerned about what these numbers tell the citizens of Stevensville. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Amen. Any further public comment? Okay. Hearing no further comment, let's move to new business item A. Discussion decision resolution number 595, a resolution of town council of the town of Stevensville, Montana, providing for the amendments of the budget for fiscal year 25-26. Resolution number 595, resolution of town council, town of Stevensville, Montana, providing for the amendments of the budget for the fiscal year 25-26. Whereas town of Stevensville, town council adopted the budget for fiscal year 2025-26 for resolution 574, and whereas the building code enforcement fund will exceed. Do you want me to reread this or? Okay. I call for council discussion or comment. Councilmember Smith.
No.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay. Any? Councilmember Beatty.
I'm not familiar with the, with the expenditure increase at 4,100 for the building code enforcement. Can someone provide a little detail on that increase?
Councilmember, or, Robert.
Yes. So we, the increase is basically, this kind of goes with our revenue. So the more Construct Montana, the more building permits, the more revenue we get, the more expenses we have to pay back. So we make an estimate at the beginning of the year, and he did more building permits than we thought, so we had to pay more than we generated.
Gotcha.
And so that's just the 41,000 for that.
So it's an expense attached to our revenue,
Yes.
which increased as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other council comments? Other comment? Can we get a motion on the floor, please? Councilmember Smith.
I move we accept resolution number 595, a resolution of Town Council, Stevensville, providing the amendments of the budget of the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to accept resolution number 595, a resolution of the town council of the town of Stevensville, Montana, providing for the amendments to the budget for fiscal year 25-26. Is there a second? Okay, Councilmember Wander seconds. Any further, council comment or discussion? None, I'll call for the vote.
Councilor Bailey,
Aye.
Councilor Wandler,
Aye.
and Councilor Smith.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Next item on the agenda is discussion decision resolution number 547B, a resolution establishing lighting district taxes for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 26-27. Resolution 547B, resolution establishing lighting district taxes for the town of Stevensville, Montana, for the year 26-27. Whereas Montana Code annotated 7/12/4301 provides the governing body is authorized to establish special improvement districts for lighting streets. Whereas the current lighting districts are as follows: Dayton Lighting District, Peterson Lighting District, George Smith Lighting District, Creekside Lighting District, and Twin Creeks Lighting District. Now therefore be resolved that the town council of the town of Stevensville, Montana, do hereby establish the following taxes for each lighting district. Dayton Lighting District, $3,550. Peterson Lighting District, $2,590. George Smith Lighting District, $3,050. Creekside Lighting District, $4,980. Twin Creeks Lighting District, $6,085. Dated this 19th day of August 2026, after motion is second at regular meeting of the Stevensville Town Council. Council comment. Councilmember Bailey.
For the finance department, Creekside Lighting District is going down. It was $5,425, proposed is $4,980. Can you speak to that, please?
Those two lighting districts kind of go up and down all the time, Creekside and Twin Creeks. And if it just amounts, we talked about earlier, it's the amount that the taxpayer pays that year. So if the taxpayer doesn't pay their taxes on time, they get shifted to the other year. And then they get picked up the next year. So we don't, that's the county, what the county tracks. What we track is what we actually get in the account from the county itself. And so, this is the formula we use to see it throughout the last 4 or 5 years that we've used. It's basically the cash that we have at the end of the year, our total expenses, which is just the electric bill for those lighting districts. And then we do a 5% increase because it goes up every year, and as you can see, two of the lighting districts, and over we, so 5% is just about right. And then we have a 30% reserve, okay? And that gets us what we need, and we divide that by the, we give that number to the county, and they put it on the tax form of the division. 2 of the lighting districts are done by lot sizes. So I get an average of what it does per month, which is right here, versus some are done by lot. And you tell how much that is per lot. And that's pretty standard. So when the ebb and flow like this, it's those two, because they do have, let me see, it's, 60 houses in Creekside and 53 houses. There are bigger ones. So if the taxpayer doesn't pay their taxes on time, then it goes to the next year. We don't adjust that back. We just get what we get in the year we get it.
Okay, so fiscal year 2024, 2025, we have people who did pay their taxes, and so 2025, 2026, we had a higher tax, essentially, like district tax.
That's
And
basically.
now, this year, or last year, so to speak, everyone did pay their taxes, so it'll go back down.
And they throw another mix in there is the cost of electricity.
Right, that 5%
Well, and
qualifier.
it goes like this throughout these, and that's really, so it's basically the cost divided by the houses. That's how we kind of put the numbers each year. So the biggest fact, and I can throw the tax in there because it does happen, and they do pay, depending on the interest that goes into those funds, but it's usually a little bit smaller, it's not small enough to make it change that much. So it's basically the cost of electricity a year divided by the people in the house. And how much you pay.
Thank you.
For the council. Public comment? Okay, can I get a motion on the floor, please? Councilmember Smith.
I move that we accept resolution number 547B, a resolution establishing the lighting district taxes for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 26-27.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to accept resolution number 547B, a resolution establishing lighting district taxes for the town of Stevensville, Montana, for the year 26-27. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Bailey. So there's a first and a second on the floor to adopt resolution number 547B, a resolution establishing lighting district taxes for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 26-27. Any further council discussion? Janelle, would you please call for the vote?
Councilmember Bailey,
Aye.
Councilmember Waller,
Aye.
and Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion decision resolution number 572A, a resolution establishing mill levies for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 2026-27. Resolution 572A, resolution establishing mill levies for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 2026-27. Whereas Montana Code annotated 764036 provides the governing body shall fix the tax levy for the municipality sufficient to generate revenue to meet the budgetary needs subject to certain limitation. And whereas Montana Code annotated 15-10-420 sets the levy limitation. And whereas the current property tax revenue limitation under Montana Code 1510-420 per year ending in June 30th, 2027 is calculated at $394,263. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town council of the town of Stevensville, Montana, is hereby levy upon all taxable property of the town the authorized levy of 83.09 mils in accordance with Montana Code annotated 1510-420. Be it further resolved that 83.10 mils of said tax shall be collected to credit to the general fund of the town of Stevensville, Montana. Dated this 19th day of August 2026, after motion and second at regular meeting, Stevensville Town Council. Councilmember Bailey.
Okay, Robert, I see that you've got your calculator pulled up. Can you go ahead and walk us through that?
So this is the form they send us, okay? And we add in all these. We try to be nice here. The state sends us this is the form we have to use to calculate our bills. And then they send us this, our property valuation form, which gives us the numbers to plug in here. Very simple, right? So we plug in these numbers and it just jots us down what we get. And then we decide if we want to take these many mills or not. So you can take less mills and you can have overload. So if we took less mills here, we'd have holdover mills we could use later on. Well, our general fund is so depleted, there's no way we could go less than the max mills, which we've done every year. And the funny part about this whole thing, on the form I turn into the state, I just have to put in two numbers and it gives me the exact number too. So I don't know why. The state knows what we're getting, basically. They make us do this, but they know what we're getting anyway. Yeah. So I mean, you want to walk through these numbers. This is just numbers so that they give us on this little yellow sheet. It says, go to line whatever, put that number in here. Go to line whatever, put that number in here. It does all this. It takes out the TED and the TIF money, okay? And that gives us adjusted taxable value, current, calculated mills, okay? It gives you that. And then, then current calculated ad valorem tax revenue, that's how much we're gonna get. That's the number of mills, that's how much money it says we're gonna get. And then we it comes back down here and kind of breaks it down again. And we have to look up. And we got this after we handed out the revenue for public hearing. Because remember, we don't know when we're gonna get this, and this is out, but we don't know when we're gonna get our tax evaluation form. It's a little bit later this year. And so they basically told us to take what we got last year and put that in our budget, because with the new tax, the way they're doing the new tax revenue, at some point in time, we're gonna start kind of leveling out and going down, is the way the plan is. And so initially thought it was gonna happen this year. That didn't happen. We actually got more money in taxes than we thought we were gonna get, by about 31,000.
Councilmember Smith.
So,
From my number.
so that number 394 is the same as last year?
No.
What was last year's?
Last year's, right here.
You're just refreshing my memory because it's not.
Last year was, we predicted it would be 380, and we got 360. Okay, so we went, and this is happening, I'm going to explain this all this a little bit, but we got 360, okay? And this year, we're predicting, obviously they said we're going to get 390, 400. And so, and I could explain it a little bit. We're always 1 month off from the fiscal year based on how the taxes get turned into the county and when we get the check. And we talk with auditors back and forth all the time when we receive the revenue, which year or month we put it in. And so we're on an accrual basis, so theoretically we put it in the month that we get it. And
But we get the check
when
from
we
the
get the
state.
check, and there's arguments back and forth, but anyway, that's when we get the check, so we're always 1 month off, you know? And so over the years, it just evens out, except for last year, believe it or not, a lot of people, they paid a little bit later last year, so the money moved over to different part of the year.
Councilmember Smith.
To the finance department. Hypothetically, on a $100,000 house, this will be an increase of,
I'd have to do the calculation on that. I don't do it on by 100,000. I will have to, when I turn in the state, we
well,
will
do you have some kind of a number that,
do that calculation now.
okay,
What was it last year?
On,
How much was it last year?
for $100,000 house. Not my computer, so I can't. Why we need an extra computer, because I have to use someone else's computer because it doesn't plug into my computer doesn't plug into it. Except for it. But I can get that clear. It's a certain number. Get it.
Any other council comment? Public comment? Can we get a motion? Councilmember Smith.
I move that we accept resolution number 572A, the resolution establishing mill levies for the town of Stevensville, Montana fiscal year 26-27.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to accept resolution number 572A, a resolution establishing mill levies for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 2026-2027. Is there a second? Councilmember Waller. So the first and second on the floor to accept resolution number 572A, a resolution establishing mill levies for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 2026-2027. Any further council discussion? Janelle, please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bailey?
Aye.
Councilmember Wondler?
Aye.
And Councilmember Smith?
All right,
Thank you, motion carries 3-0. Okay, next item on the agenda, discussion decision, resolution number 574A, resolution for adopting a budget, adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 26-27. Whereas pursuant to section, pull that up so I can read it. There we go. Whereas pursuant to section 764024 Montana Code annotated, the town council, of town of Stevensville, Montana, has held a public hearing on the proposed budget of Stevensville for the fiscal year 2026-27 as required by law, and whereas pursuant to local government budget act contained in Title 7, Chapter 6, Part 40 of the Montana Code annotated, town council of Stevensville has held hearings and passed resolutions as applicable under the above sections. Now therefore be resolved by this town council that the budget be approved and adopted, and that checks, warrants be issued in accordance with laws pertaining thereto. It is hereby moved, seconded, and carried by the Stevensville Town Council that this resolution be adopted for fiscal year 2026-27, and whereas the above resolution adopting the budget was passed by the town of Stevensville Council, and whereas section 744301 Montana Code annotated mandates the establishment of wages and compensation of elected and appointed town officers and all town employees by ordinance or resolution. Now therefore be it resolved that the wages and compensation for the elected and appointed town officers and all town employees of fiscal year 2026-27 are hereby established as set forth in the final budget attached hereto by this reference made a part hereof. Be it further resolved that wages and compensation shall be effective as of the first full pay period of July 2026. That would be July 4, 2026 through July 17, 2026, unless otherwise noted in the attachments hereto. Passed and adopted by the town council and approved by the mayor this 19th day of August 2026. Council? Comment? Questions?
Question. Within the budget, there's a proposal to move money from sewer and water to police department.
This year, no. No, so last week had the 500,000, we moved from sewer, water, 600,000, sewer, 400,000, yeah, and we were cleaning up those accounts from the year before. After further analysis and decided where we're gonna put some of the stuff in this year's budget, that's not possible. So that's why you guys just voted not to do those from last year. And the reason it was just an expenditure, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew we didn't do those that we said we were gonna do last year, because the money just doesn't add up. Oh, please, oh, sorry, that's okay.
I was like, wait, what?
I think everybody else here, I haven't heard it well, so I heard part of it. So there is part of it to give a loan to the general fund for the general fund portion of all of the instructors, all of the, so it's a loan of $80,000, 4% interest, and we did it for 5 years.
I had some questions from local citizens within my district that
Okay.
there is a concern about borrowing from a trust. They have to talk to federal, from a trust fund like that. That is not legal to borrow from. If we have excess, we should be paying into, paying down the fee wheel for that.
Yeah, that's a thought process. But it's legal, you can borrow from the trust fund. So and the reason why we put 4% interest, because that's the same amount we're getting in the bank. So that, it's not a trust fund, but it's an asset account. And so we're borrowing from the asset account. The asset account is not gonna lose any money, because we're gonna pay it back at 4%, the same amount we're getting right now. And it can be paid back and forth. It's long term, it's a loan between funds.
So the sewer fund would then make that interest.
Yeah, I understand that, but I
Yeah.
understood from about 3 different people that contacted me and said that that was not a fund you could borrow from. Do you know that?
Are they here? I don't know who they are and what they're talking about, so. Yeah. We've done it in the past, so that's what I'm talking about. We've done it before in the past, actually. I think that's not.
What percentage are we receiving, are we paying on our sewer and water bonds this time?
We have a range. We have it on here. The interest rates are on. Yeah, I'm all with you.
Oh, the
Yeah.
interest rates, oh, yeah, it's like, for the bond, there's one that's 4.5%, there's one that's 1.85%. So they're a little bit less than the, I think it's less than 4.5%. So the majority of them are 1.85%.
So we'll be making more money.
You would, we would be acting as the bank instead of giving them bank money, right? So,
Well, I
And-
understand that.
yeah, and the chief, with the chili cook-off, he raised $20,000 last year. And so this would be paid over a five-year period. But when he does the chili cook-off, that money is gonna go to pay for that truck. So in essence, it's really not going to cost the general fund anything, because he's all over it. So, yeah, so I think it's a win-win situation. I'd rather borrow from myself and pay myself the interest than borrowing from the bank and paying them the
If
interest.
borrowing from that type of,
Mhm. Yeah,
assure us that that is a little.
and it's not like all 80,000, well, maybe that's, yeah, all 80,000 will come out, yeah. Mhm.
And I think it was 2016 or 2017, we borrowed $79,000 from one fund to finance, to help pay for the project up to the airport. Then we had the big fire season, the airport made no way to pay the loan back. So,
Well, I understand the intention to pay it back and everything, but I was under the impression it was like federal, you can't borrow from a trusted fund.
It's not a trust fund, it's an asset fund.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, it's the same,
So if it was a trust fund, it'd be a little bit different, but this is just a what do we call it? Yeah, I don't bring up what we want to call it right now, but yeah, we've talked about this before, talked about with the auditors, we talked about doing helping at the airport, do some stuff up there, we don't need that right now, because we have a different plan for them. But this is just borrowing from the other. We borrowed actually the planning fund, if you remember, the planning fund borrowed from the general fund a couple years ago, and we just had to pay back that last year, even though there's no paperwork on it. The auditors found it after 4 years, nobody knowing about it. We ended up paying back last year. This is something, and it's just the documentation, that's why I totally documented the budget. Make sure they knows, and when we write it up, it's gonna be written up the same way we do it. And no cost, and the idea is no cost to fund it. If we wouldn't be paying interest, that would be, because we're really taking money out of that fund, and shifting it over. So they have to get at least the same amount of interest as we're making.
and I also was questioned about the cost of the vehicle for the police department. Is there an estimate, or why is that so high?
The $80,000?
Yeah.
Because we can't find anything less than that. And so with the police vehicles, you have to have a bucket seat in the front so that the police can fit their console where the console goes. And so, the Fords are the ones that fit the police, and the chief could probably speak to that a little bit better than I can. But, so we're looking at either a Ford or a Chevy, but they just are not coming with the bucket seats that are less than, But we are looking for a used one. They just haven't come up with any yet, but they're still looking.
Councilmember Bailey?
So I think logistically borrowing the money, it makes sense. I see where you guys are coming from. But is there a way that we can check to make, double check to make sure that we can legally do this?
We can call our auditors again. They're the only ones they're our check on everything. So we'd asked them before, we'll just ask them again. And if you can't, then if for some reason it changes, which I don't think it will, but if they come back and say we can't do it, we won't do it. Well, it needs to be one expenditure, and we can make that a county.
Any further comment from council?
So can you speak to these percentages that Linda brought up?
Yeah, let me pull it up. We had this discussion yesterday, so, let me pull up, and this is a software that like 90% of the people, government agencies in Montana use. Okay. This number here is of the old budget. That old budget is the current budget we have right now, 25-26. So we had 30,200. Now we're asking.
Wait, can I explain something first, real quick? Before this, so in order for me to post and pay claims for this fiscal year, we had to roll the budget from 25 to 26. Or from 25 to 26 into 26, 27. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to pay any claims. And so when I was talking to Black Mountain after I talked to Linda the other day, these headers up here, we cannot change. We cannot change those. That's a software thing. And so those numbers, the percentages are not based off of the
So the
The change.
percentages are, it's real simple. The old budget, the new budget, and that's 40%.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with preliminary budget changes or nothing. So this is the current budget we approved last year, and this is what we're asking this year. And that's where you get the 40%. And I actually, after hearing that, I went and did most of these last year to make sure they were correct on Excel. And they are exactly, they round a little bit, okay,
Yeah.
but nearest number, right? So this is 40% of last year. You can look at that, 1,200, that's 40%. But in 0, 0, and 0, the weird one is when you have a 0 here. It can't do the math. You can't divide a 0 into a number. That's where the number comes from. Exactly.
Zero.
And that's why that doesn't work out. And so, and I've seen that a lot on financials when there's always a 0 when you're divided into a 0 like this. And so if you look right here, this was 2017. We're only asking for $60 this time. That's 28% of the old budget.
So it's not a percentage of the change.
Okay.
From this change to this change is what it is. So it kind of tells you we're 40%. If that's 40% of the budget we spent last year. And this is the year 2,650. We're going to 5,374. That's 103%.
203.
Semantics.
Okay, and that's what it is. And once again, we can't. That's something we don't change. We change the number here. This is their formula. It works, and it's something we can't do. And believe me, 90% of the government's water districts, schools use this program. And believe me, it's not user friendly. What once you get used to it,
One more question.
okay.
I'm more an English person than I am a figure person, but there are a lot of typos.
Not now.
in them. Can you change
The new
those?
document, there's none.
Huh?
The new document has no spelling errors in it. I had to create it, change it, because you can't see it. We had 3 people go through it, and they did this every time. It was pretty small, because this is a DOS document. So I turned it into a Microsoft document, line by line, and made sure that it was spelled correctly going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Bailey.
Okay, I just needed a reminder, Town Hall Annex Building, 212 is on page 10 of the packet. We have gone from 0 historically to $1,000. Can you just remind me what we are planning to purchase with that $1,000?
For the annex building,
It says town hall / annex building.
Which
we
page
were
is that on?
looking at getting 5 new chairs.
Oh, no, that's on a different line.
Okay, see, the annex building, all right, here, what page is that again?
It says page 10 of the packet.
Okay, got it. Just ready to write. It's
Page
not-
446, that will be.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, so that is, so when you, so, and,
That one,
right.
down at the bottom.
Okay, so this is kind of the maintenance between the annex and here, okay? And if you remember last year, we had, so we said 1,000 non-capital. This is because we have not really spent a lot on this building at all. Right now, we put $1,000 in there. Last year, we spent, what was it? Repair and maintenance, we spent almost 6,000 of the 2,400 bucks we did.
Mhm.
And so, this would be non-capital, any type of equipment we need for each one of these two buildings. We don't have right now.
Okay, so nothing specific, just general
Mhm.
wear and tear,
Yeah, yes.
okay?
And that could be any one of the, we had senior citizens one time, we had any one of these cords or something like this cord goes out. That would be equipment, just anything like that.
There may be some things coming up, Janelle and Green have been working over there just about every Wednesday, straightening things out. They may need new shelvings or just about anything over there. That's where all our vital records are going. Councilmember Smith.
Public comment?
Robert, yes.
You want to talk about your proposed changes, the changes we talked about?
You go ahead and talk about it.
So, the budget stands would be already published, right? That's what we're talking about for one. Here's some changes which we're gonna talk about. Some that we would like and some that just happened, okay? One that happened was the Firemen Relief Association from last year. We said we would give them $22,000 for the Fire Relief Association. Okay, but it was, the caveat was they had to provide the paperwork and the need for the money. After getting that paperwork between now and the time we publish this and have the time here, we got them to come in, bring in what they need, what they got, and we came up with what they have and where they're at, okay? And what that works out to, we talked about doing a special levy for fire retirement. Remember we talked about that? Well, we can't do that this year because they have too much money in the account. So you can't do a special levy. If we gave them $22,000 more, we would never do a special levy. Okay? And so if you look through 25, 26, my record, so let's go, this is where they ended last year, okay? They started out with about 100, they started with 100,000. They got the insurance money, they got interest on their money, their expenses or their payout for 27,350. They have some expenses, booking, audit expenses, booking expenses. They ended up with 82,000, right? You have to be under 3 times your payout before you can do a special levy. So if you can see, we missed the special levy by not very much, $100, less than $100. Okay, $90, 90, 80 something, right? So we can't do a special levy. Now I projected this out for the next few years, okay? Now obviously things will change if someone dies or someone retires, but there's no really projections on, there's not that many. There's 2 people are close to retirement. I think Jeff Motley can retire, but I don't plan on that. There's some stuff going on. So this is just with what they have right now. Okay, so you start out with the 82,000, we give them 5,000 this year, they get the same amount of money, and actually I figured out what this is gonna be 7, I'll show you that later, but that money goes up a little bit this year because our mill levy is a little bit higher. They get the same amount of interest, we get down about 64,500, we can do a special levy next year. Okay? Then, these are just kind of what it would look like. You get this much money, you get the state insurance money, the still town pays $5,000 a year into this special levy. It's 3 mills. I just, based on what we had last year, is about 17,000. Bottom line, we pay 5,000 for the next few years into the account versus all that money if we do a special levy. Now, you know, this is a tough subject, and the town voted a few years back, long before I got here, to allow rural to be on our retirement roster and our guys to be on their retirement roster. That cost the town $6 a year right now. So, as we go, you know, I'm just bringing out the fact. So, as we pay $5,000 a year, basically the town is paying for, with the special levy, the town has to pay for the firefighters until things change in retirement and whatever. Okay? Does that make sense? Questions? That's why the 22,000, and I talked to Mr. Motley about it, and he understood it, because, you know, we were just literally $83 short this year to be able to do that special levy to get the retirement. And if we give them any more than what we have, I even thought about not doing 5 this year, but then we end up, you know, in pretty good, or the next year you go 10 because you're making up, so it kind of worked out right now, 5,000 a year until things change. You know, give or take, you know, someone retires, someone leaves, you know, or unfortunately passes away, it changes. So this number right now, and I'm going to show you, it's right here. I calculated what, since we have our mills in, that number right here is actually the number they're getting this year. It's one and a half our mills is what equals this number right here. So I didn't update it since we did our mill sheet, but that number will go up here to 7,
Just a little over 7,100.
Yeah.
71.
$17.51.
So that number will go up. And that's the same amount of money the police get for their training fund, 1.5 mils of vehicles. I've always wondered where that come out, and actually, we just finally, when they changed the MCA, they actually put that in the MCA where the money, how to calculate that money. So that's a good thing. So that was one of the changes it brought, and what it did, it brings up our cash at the end of the year because we didn't have to pay the 22,000. Then we had the special mill levy money. After we got the evaluation for the town and realized that taxes were going up instead of going down, we decided to go look at the tax reports again and relook at the count of the money we got from the county. The county said they actually paid us $7,735 for the special levy. In fact, they didn't pay us, and they sent us another check. And so that got added in. And then when you talk about the mill levy back, the increase, it's really only a $10,000 increase, but from what we had put in the initial assessment of what we had received in our taxes, like they told us, these are what we're going to expect, that's about a $35,000 difference. So $65,000 is now back into well, these two are back into the cash on hand, and that's into the taxes we're going to receive. So that brings this number, make sure it's the right one. That brings this number up right there. In turn, it brings this number up to where, you know, our cash reserve, our reserve at the end of the year. Nothing else changed. The appropriation didn't change, the revenue changed, but the amount of money we want to spend did not change. We just started with more money, and our taxes with the final documents from the state go up a little bit. So that's the revenue change. And that's That's just something like we can't change, couldn't foresee or can't do anything about it, that's the number. I mean, I can keep the budget the way it was and say we're gonna get that much money and then do a budget amendment later on, but they wanna help get back to it. Other proposed changes that we thought about, okay? I'm gonna talk to the mayor about. Our forestry money, as you see with our trees, is budgeted at 9,000. Idea would put another 4,000 there, we're bringing it to 13,000 to be able to cut more trees down, and take care of the trees. The other one was American in Public Works, who came up with getting a dump trailer. Because right now, our big dump truck, everybody's got to get a CDL to drive that. And we don't have a dump trailer. Dump trailer is about $12,000. That would be divided into the 1,000 fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. Because the sewer uses it to get rid of the crap at the end of the year, in the winter, and the sewer uses it, and it uses it for picking up stuff. And you don't need a CDL to have a trailer. So that kind of gets rid of some of our CDL requirements. The other part is that we don't have is a trailer to move the mowers. So right now, they move the mowers from down in Public Works. They drive them all the way through the streets, all the way to the parks, all the way to the cemetery, instead of putting them on a trailer. And all that does is wear out our equipment, but it's not as big. And so about $1,500, you can get a utility trailer to put all your rake, just like the lawn people do. They have a utility trailer with your mowers on it and your rakes on it, and then they can go to the park with everything there instead of loading it up every time they go. The next, and this was just an option, if the council wanted to, since we have a little bit more revenue and tax money, is put right here, put another $20,000 in capital improvement savings. So that would move it from $20,000 to $40,000 in capital improvement for the general fund. And this last one, 2,411 into the engine account. So we have an asset account for the fire engine. It only has this much money in it. We put that much money in it, we get $5,000 in it. That's still not a lot of money, but we know we're going somewhere down the road if we don't start saving for these. Just like we did this year, we didn't have any money set aside for the police vehicle. We end up having to do certain things to get it. This gives us the ability to start saving for the next one. And then the last one, you guys just approved this amendment. This changed the dollar amount for the airport from the beginning. You didn't do it that much. You guys already approved it. Those are the only things different that came up during this time. And you guys can do anything you want with the budget right now. You can take it apart line by line, take off stuff, add stuff. And so this is kind of where we're at. This would be the add. So I throw it back to you guys what you want to do. Let me ask you. So the what if you did all that, this is what the account would look like. Sorry.
Can we see the bottom line, please?
With it
The bottom line.
on this
Thank
one.
you.
Okay.
So,
So,
questions from the council? Public comment?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, did you raise your hand?
Again, Linda Powell, 235 Valley View Street, here at Stevine. Regarding the repayment on the planned vehicle purchase, Chief Bo has been an awesome asset to this town. He gives not only of his time, he gives of his own personal assets. But what if We got $19,000 that went into the general fund last year. What if it doesn't happen for 3 years? How is that loan, that movement between funds going to be resolved? I don't know. Do you?
So one, we do have the asset account right here, we put 40,000, that would be our back.
That's half.
But that would make 2 year payments. But we still have general fund money, we put in the budget to pay for it.
So, thank you. Enough.
Sorry?
Hearing a ding.
So I said that, so we have 40, if we pass what we did with the increase for the 20,000, you'd have $40,000 to pay that off. I would even offer up to say, okay, take, I don't want to confuse you, but that's about, but $40,000 in the asset fund, okay, pay for capital assets. Okay, but we are planning to do the cook-off, chili cook-off, but if that, and we talked about, if that doesn't work out, we would then still have to pay that out of the general fund. And that's the plan that we're looking at. Because so this year we would say $40,000, we're gonna be able to have the same budget last year, with the same money, we'd only be able to put 20,000 in capital asset. Everything, which it won't be.
Councilmember Smith.
The only thing I can see on this that you've talked about are the 2 trailers, a dump trailer and a, good luck finding it for that amount. I think that's a bit light.
Well, the dump trailer is 12,000.
Yep, so here you go.
Yeah, it's 4,000 out of general, 4,000 out of sewer, and 4,000 out of, okay. And now the utility trailer for $1,500.
Good Home Depot.
The utility trailer, you get the tractor.
All right,
Could be that,
it's clear now.
Public comment?
Yeah, I got just a quick question. My name's Luke Barrett. I live on Stevens Lane, Stevensville. I was just curious about, you mentioned the rural fire department.
Yeah.
Is that separate from the city fire department thing?
Yes.
Yeah, like, most towns have, correct? And the city of Stevensville will speak for the rural, is that correct?
That was an agreement that the council signed, a few years ago.
2015.
And I'm just curious because I was on a fire department for a little while in Great Falls, and the town paid for us, but the rurals had a different, like county payment. Is that kind of affecting the budget, I guess, kind of, because we're having to pay for
Yes,
2
it
fire
is.
departments?
Yes, it is.
And I guess my concern is, I like all firefighters, so I don't want Cleveland to be off without a safety net. I mean, so in a normal community or another community like Great Falls, we would pay for them as a city, and then the county would pay for a rural firefighter typically? How do we, because I just feel like we're trying to budget for a lot of these concerns, right?
So when you pay your city taxes, the city's paying for rural retirement and for city retirement. When you pay your county taxes are paying for rural and for city.
Yeah, so, yeah, I was kind of
Yes, it's a, I'd say it's a touchy subject, because I'm with you, and
Yeah.
everybody, these guys come out and do a lot of work and then retire for $300 a month.
Totally, and
So it's,
it's a high risk
but
job.
it's, and I guess they were audited a few years ago, and so if you do this, you're theoretically supposed to do whatever hours you have to do for here, say it's 30, but I'd say it's 36. You have to do it at that fire station.
Yeah,
And then you have to go over there and do it there.
yeah.
Okay, you can't double dip and say these hours count for those hours. Now, I don't know what's going on, I can't say anything, because I just well love, that's not my thing.
No, same, I'm just curious, just.
Yeah, but that's kind of what's supposed to been done.
That is what's happening. I did
Yeah.
talk to Jeff about it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's just curiosity. I just, because it just seems like it's hard to buy this kind of trailer that we need when it's, we're paying for rural and city. And that, like I said, being in the Great Falls Fire Department, it wasn't the same way. So just one more question. Thank you.
You got a good catch.
You've heard the public comment. Can I get a motion, please?
Councilmember Smith.
I move that we accept resolution number 574A, a resolution for adopting the budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville, Montana, fiscal year 26-27.
So the motion on the floor to approve resolution number 574A, a resolution for adopting a budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stephenville, Montana for fiscal year 26-27. Is there a second? What, Janelle?
Is this with additions? Is that motion with those additions?
Is that with the additions?
With these additions.
So yes, it's with the additions.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Okay, hearing no second, motion dies on the floor. What's council's pleasure? Councilor Bailey?
You know, I think I feel more comfortable, knowing for sure that the auditor approves us borrowing money from one fund to give to another. I also feel that we should have a full council before we approve this budget.
The problem with waiting for a full council is we don't know how long the other council members are going to be gone on the fires. We're running up against some deadlines. We're already over a month and a half into the new budget without an approved budget. I trust our finance department. They've looked into this. I believe that I don't believe our finance department would do anything incorrect. So, what's your motion? Councilmember, or I'm sorry, Robert.
I would give it, if that is a concern, let's put a caveat on with the loan approved with like the auditors sending you some, okay. And then if they have to say, if we're gonna go back and ask them, they write it, and we can do it anyway. And so I'll ask them again, and have them come in writing, if they don't do it, we won't do it. Because they'll figure it out, and we can find it that way.
So you can approve the budget with the caveat that the auditors agree with the decision. If they don't agree with the decision, we won't do that part. Councilor Wanda.
Four people. One, two, three.
I'm sorry, are you talking to the council? Because this is, right now, we're in session.
I'm lettering. I'm sorry.
Okay, if you question them, would you be specific as to what the accounts are?
Oh, yeah, totally, completely, they wouldn't. Yeah, they know exactly.
So what's your pleasure?
I agree with Mr. Chairman was here to.
I appreciate that, but the agreement was that when Talon was appointed to the council understood that he may be called out on fires and we would have to work without him. It's not unusual not to have the full council to approve anything, including the budget. And we could be doing this with only 3 members of the council. If we didn't have a 4 member.
Right, I understand that we have a quorum. I would feel better, having all 4 of us there because this is such a huge part of our work each year. I'd also like to see the changes, and it's just small, but spelling. I'd love to see the changes that were finalized for the spelling. I also have a couple amendments that I would want to make as well, so I guess that's on a separate note.
So make a motion.
Um,
Right now, the issue's dead.
Yeah, so make the motion with the caveats and all that.
Okay, I make a motion that we table resolution number 574A, a resolution adopting a budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville.
Until when?
Until the next meeting where we can have a full council present.
You can't guarantee that.
He might be home and gone.
Cannot guarantee.
So you need a specific date?
And the next council meeting, the next regular council meeting is next Thursday night.
We're anticipating that he'll be gone at that.
We are.
Oh, he's expected back in September.
Gina, what's our deadline for getting the budget approved?
September 1st.
Okay.
He should be back next Friday.
Maybe. We don't know. No guarantees. Gina,
So please keep in mind that if this is not continued with, or if this is continued, tabled for another meeting, then we have to do 2 more times in the newspaper, because you now have a new budget in front of you. Things have changed in front of you. So I cannot give that to the newspaper until let's say the 26th of this month. Then it would have to be in the paper on the 2nd, and we would be looking at a budget meeting such as this until the week of the 7th of September.
Past the due date.
Yeah, right, 6 days past the due date. Well, I made a motion, so.
okay, so make a motion again, please.
I have to make another motion?
So repeat your motion.
Sure, I make a motion to table resolution number 574A, a resolution for adopting a budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville until September 7th.
Okay, so the motion on the floor to table the adoption of resolution 574A, a resolution for adopting the budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville until September 7th. Is there a second?
Can I ask a question first?
We have a motion on the floor. Okay, motion dies. What's your question, Terry?
My question is there a penalty if we're a week late?
Can't be.
We get an audit funding,
Mm-hmm.
the state's on us, and we get less chances for grants.
Okay.
That's why we work against it now.
Okay, so we're talking about approving with the stipulation that the auditor clears us borrowing from one fund to give to another.
From this, you might make a specific sewer fund.
Okay, thank you.
Sewer housing.
And
To-
these new additions.
So I guess my comment on the new additions is that I think 5 vehicles, a trailer, and another trailer is a bit aggressive for one fiscal year.
Okay, my comment is we have a $36,000 lawnmower that we're driving 1 to 2 miles down to cut a couple of acres of grass, and then driving it back and we're wearing it out.
Mhm.
It's a lot cheaper to get a $1,500 trailer to carry that lawnmower down there than it is to drive it across the town streets.
Thank you. I'm not against the trailers, I'm against the 4 trucks.
Okay.
I think maybe 1 truck, or 1 for the chief, 1 for grounds, and then the 2 trailers. How would you feel about that?
We don't.
The mayor is responsible for making sure that the town has adequate equipment to perform the job. Right now, I've got 1 truck in the shop, I've got 1 truck dead on arrival out in the field out there. I got another truck with a flywheel about to fall off, so I have 1 working truck that I can depend on. Okay? We are approaching winter time, we've got to plow snow, we've got to put sand down, we got all kinds of, we have the fall cleanup to do. And it's gonna cost us, I have no idea what it's gonna cost to have that truck that's in the shop fixed right now. I'm about ready to call them, just tell them not to do anything. But I think it's a waste of money to keep trying to patch those old trucks. I think we need to get the trucks. I think that they will save us money in the long run.
Do you think we
And,
could,
and I don't, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think we could taper the purchase of the trucks? I mean, I think, like I said, 5 trucks is aggressive for one fiscal year. Could we do potentially, obviously, the chief's truck, and then 2 for plant ops, I'm sorry, I can't think of their title. And then, you know, maybe 1 next year and 1 the year after that, so that we're not putting all 4 on 1 year, and then 10 years from now, they're all 4 gonna, you know, keel over. and-
The idea is to get some decent trucks and then start actually doing the maintenance. We haven't been, look, I'm sorry, but the town has been negligent in doing maintenance on these vehicles for a long time. We need vehicles that we can rely on. And right now, well, I don't think we have one vehicle, if we need to send somebody out of town to go to training, I think the one vehicle that's the most decent would be the public works supervisor's truck. That's the only one we got that can leave town. I won't let it, and it's missing a lug nut on the left front wheel, okay? The other trucks, I won't let leave town. They're just not safe. I've got to stand my ground. But you're the ones with the purse strings. You're the ones got to make that decision.
It looks like we have to pay the price of prior errors. Purchase of vehicles should have been done sequentially,
I agree.
one every year, and we wouldn't be at this fix. And I don't think anybody in the town would want somebody stranded someplace or a vehicle accident because the equipment was
And to top that all off, we've got a police car that just is going into the shop. I can't even read the codes because the OBD2 port's disabled on it. That thing's got to be fixed. It's an auto four-wheel drive sensor system. Okay, the police officer can't be expected to get out on the street with a vehicle that won't go in the snow. You gotta have them. So that vehicle it's in the shop right now, right?
Yes, sir.
And his truck is flat wore out. I would not trust that truck in a high-speed pursuit. Barely trust it for a low speed, to be honest with you.
Well, it might not be a part of the whole issue, but we need inspections daily on every vehicle.
Absolutely agree.
And they write on it. They sign up for it, they sign in, they sign out.
Agreed.
We should
We have not
have
had,
hints
we have
and
not had
gas.
that in place. We're trying to put it in place. I sent, yeah, you heard a comment earlier tonight about, hostile workforce or hostile work environment. I put some emails out about the conditions of the vehicles, taking care of the vehicles, cleaning the vehicles, make sure they're okay for the next person to get into, and also the condition of some of the workspaces. Okay, I put that out, and you heard about it tonight. Okay, we're trying. So, it's up to you folks. Councilmember Smith.
Okay, the trucks that we're talking about, we're still talking about the ones that come with the plows, and how much were they each?
They're 44,000, but they gave us a special deal because we were getting 4. You have to remember the cost of those are going up every year.
Oh, yeah, they're not going down.
And these trucks, you know, they already come with a plow. Every one of them comes with a plow and a salter, you know, a salt, on the back, and they're big. And if we don't need all of those, we could sell 2 of them and make money off of those. So
Don't pay the
I
zone.
think this is such a good deal. It's like, oh
Are
my
these
gosh.
ones removable?
Doors open.
I'll try again.
I'm failing here, so, okay, I'm still against the 4 trucks, but I'm not gonna make a motion against that. How about we talk about our city court, and just go over really quickly professional fees, $350, this is on page 2 of 46. We, I think we pulled it down, $3,500, just double checking, that's for the judge, that's not for our town attorney, correct?
You, let him get it.
Judge, yes.
Right?
It says,
Okay.
Should be right here.
That's the judge fees, that 36,000 right there?
That's her salary. And you cannot reduce her salary or modify it while she's in office.
I'm not looking to do that, I'm just wondering why we downgraded $3,500.
Well, because it was 36,000 and it was, when I pulled up with, from last year, her expense, travel expenses were in there and that was a mistake on my part. So it wasn't 36,000. Her contract was 36,000. When I pulled up the big picture of what we paid her last year, that was the number I had. And I had it corrected.
So her contract is for 36,000 a year.
Yeah. And
Okay,
that's why it's 36.
that's what, okay.
We didn't downgrade it.
It's not a contract, it's an employment.
Okay,
The judge doesn't have a contract.
I didn't put any other notes down.
I'm sorry?
I said I didn't put any other notes down.
We have a motion.
We do.
No.
I'm asking if we have one.
Are you gonna roll?
No.
Not for the-
Councilmember Smith.
Once again, I'm going to move that we adopt resolution number 574A, a resolution adopting budget for the budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville for the fiscal year 26-27 with the additions and also the caveat of having the moving of money through the auditor. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor to approve resolution 574A, a resolution for adopting a budget and adopting wages and salaries for the town of Stevensville, Montana, 26-27, with the addition of those added expenses for the trailers and have to have approval of the auditor before we actually effect those loans.
So,
Is there a second? Okay, so the first and second on the floor to approve resolution 574A, a resolution for adopting a budget and adopting wages and salaries down in Stevensville, Montana for fiscal year 26-27 with the addition of the added purchases for trailers and caveat not to do the loans until we have approval of the auditors. Is that effectively correct? Okay. Is there any public comment? Any further council comment or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Bailey?
Aye.
Councilmember Wallner?
Aye.
And Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Thank you very kindly, we appreciate that. I think all the guys that are getting the new vehicles, are really gonna appreciate it too. Really, we do need it. Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You're a hard